Hi, this is Charles Kelly, author of the book Yes, Money Can Buy You Happiness. I thought I'd come on here on a Sunday to tell you about a special event that's taking place this afternoon. This week we've had a series of property seminars with some fantastic speakers that you would normally have to pay hundreds, if not thousands of pounds to even go and see. But because of this lockdown situation, they're doing a lot to to promote their property knowledge online. And today is the last chance to see some of these speakers this afternoon. And in particular, you can see somebody who turned 37 pence into £100 million property fortune. He's on today, 4 p.m. His name was Neville Wright. He's a property investor that turned 100 million. That made 100 million from 37 pence through property investment. Now, it's not often you will be able to see someone who has made 100 million from property. You'll see a lot of property trainers saying, yeah, I've done this and that. They've made a few £1,000,000 on property. But somebody who made 100 million normally doesn't come onto these events and talks about them because, frankly, they've got too much going on to be running training seminars for free. But today you can see. Now, I believe that property is on the move again. We've seen from figures from Zoopla that the number of sales are up 4%. House prices rose by 2.4% in May. And buyer demand is up 46% across the country compared to March. And again, we've heard announcements from the government that they're doing something to stimulate the economy. And Boris Johnson announced today that they're launching a multi-billion-pound spending spree on infrastructure projects all over the country. This is to kickstart the economy after the coronavirus lockdown. This is a traditional way of getting the country out of recession that was used in the 30s by President Roosevelt. Happy days are here again and that sort of thing. They went on a big building program to get the country out of depression. So we all know that the government needs to do something, and this could be it. But it will be a big building boom, I think, across the country, and that gets people back to work. It gets the economy moving again. So how can you take advantage of this? Now, I think over the longer term, property is something that always bounces back from recessions, depressions, and wars even. And one reason is the simple economics, really, of supply and demand. Britain is a small country. If you think about the size of the UK compared to some of the American states, Britain is smaller. I think that you can fit Britain into Texas 30 times. It's a much smaller country than even France and Germany. And yet you've got a population of, 65 million and growing all the time. We've got, job opportunities here, so people come here to work. We've got people living longer. I mean, I know people in my Rotary Club in their 90s. They're on Zoom and that sort of thing. They're really with it. They're going to live for a long time. And then you've got, unfortunately, more divorces, more need for smaller units. So demand is there. There's a massive shortage of properties in the UK. They need to build 200,000 houses a year just to keep pace with supply and demand, really. I just want to say hi to a couple of people. Mary, Kevin, great to see you. Gary, great to see you there. Thanks for tuning in and thanks for your comments. So I think property is still there, and Britain is still a great place to come and invest. Growing population, seventh largest economy in the UK, despite all these new economies overtaking us. But if you look at, they say that China and India are bigger economies, but the actual GDP per capita per person is much higher in the UK than countries that may look bigger and have bigger economies. We produce more per person, and the standard of living overall is higher here. We also have good rule of law. We have a good system for buying and selling property, buying and selling shares. Britain is respected all over the world for its financial system, its court system, its fairness, really. And that's why people from countries like China and India and other places and Russia want to come here to invest, not to hide their money because they're illegally holding this money, but because they know it's a safe haven for their money, and they will get a fair hearing and no one's going to come and sort of steal their fortune from them. So Britain is still a good place to invest, I believe. And let me tell you a story about property. Over the years I've bought properties really since about the 1980s. Got into property at a very young age, And, I've always done well from properties, always made money. Even when things are going wrong, you can always fall back on property, even though I've had many, many businesses. So I've had sort of ups and downs in businesses, lived through 3 or 4 recessions, but property has always sort of come back. It's always been there. And, today some of the speakers are going to be talking about commercial conversions and how they can make money in property. Now, if you think about the game of Monopoly, you've got this big board of, I don't know if you've ever played Monopoly, but you've got a big board and you go round and round and you've got different parts of the country like Mayfair and King's Cross, and maybe in your own country you've got your own versions of that. And on the board you can put houses which collect a certain amount of rent, and then you've got commercial property like hotels which collect more rent. And generally the person who's got the most hotels in the right place wins the game, right? And it brings me on to thinking about my property journey, because I always made money from houses and flats, but it was only until I got into commercial that it sort of changed my life completely. And it almost became about by accident, because I wasn't investing in commercial property. But when I had a training business, we always found it difficult to find premises. Sometimes our training premises were loud and noisy, so office premises didn't like us, and we got complaints from other office users if we used an office for training. And so eventually we were sitting in a cafe, just a small little place where I used to have a coffee in the morning or lunch, and looked across the road and thought, oh, hang on, there's a property for sale opposite, for sale at an auction. And this was an old solicitor's building, and it had been empty for a while since the solicitors moved out to another premises, and it was all a bit run down. And my partner at the time used to use this building for her solicitors were there, and she said, look at that, that's for sale at auction. And it was very unusual for these properties to come up for sale at auction in this area, because it was quite a busy area and properties didn't usually sell. But there was a bit of I think this was around about 2009, so we're still in this sort of recession period after the 2008-2009 recession. I think it was around 2009, 2010, and things were pretty quiet. And so we thought this could maybe be the building we needed to expand our training business, and then not have the hassle of dealing with landlords. So I phoned up the auctioneers, and they told me the price, and I had a chat then, and the auction was in about 3 weeks' time from that point. So I decided to just be bold, and I said, look, we'll put in an offer, pre-auction, guaranteed offer on the table for the asking price. And the agent said, well, I'll talk to them, let's see what happens. And believe it or not, they come back and said yes. Now, a lot of people don't know you can do this. You can actually buy properties before the auction. You can put in pre-auction offers, and many times they are accepted. So that's what I did, and the offer was accepted, and went to our bank and said, we want this building, blah, 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 and the bank said yes. And you know what? It was so much easier than buying a residential property. With residential property, you've got people moving and coming, you've got people who back out at the last minute and all these sort of things. But it was an auction contract, so once we'd put the deposit down and that was it, we'd exchange contracts. There was no backing out, and it was an auction style contract, which was a good thing, but it can also be risky if you haven't got the money there. But the bank, and we completed on time, and we had the keys. It was just amazing how easy it was. From sitting in that cafe, I think, not much more than a month later, we had the keys to this property. And then we realised it was a lot of work to be done on the property. It was pretty dilapidated, and there'd been a leak in a roof, and pipes had been leaking, so it caused a lot of damage, and it needed totally gutting. So we spent a lot of money, maybe about 100,000 from the company, to totally renovate the building. It took a couple of months, and within a few months we were welcoming the students into our building. It was a real struggle to get it done. We had a lot of problems with the builders and that sort of thing, but got it done, and it went well. The training business went well for a couple of years. Then things changed. We didn't need the building anymore, but because we had the building, we owned the building with a mortgage. We thought, well, okay, we've still got the building. We can downsize our business and then rent the building out, and that's exactly what we did. So we rented the building out to a charity that had government funding, and they stayed there for 5 years. And in fact, our solicitor then moved back into the building and rented part of the building because they had to give up the lease on their building. So it all worked out quite well. And in fact, it was like this solicitor had come back to where he worked before as a solicitor for many, many years. And so it was great. And then we rented it out. We got a good rental income. We got fairly good yield for our money. And then after about 5 years, the tenant, the major tenant we had in there said, well, look, we've lost our funding. Therefore, we have to break the lease. We have to invoke the lease clause, which is a break clause in the lease. They had a 15-year lease, but there was a break clause there. And, we're going to move out. So they gave notice and we thought, oh my God, what are we going to do? And, it was a big worry for us because we're going to lose this tenant. And so we decided, well, maybe we could sell it. Maybe we can do something with this building. We've had a good run with it. I'm sure we could have got another tenant anyway, but we thought, why don't we try and put it on the market? And we put it on the market, and basically we were, and the agent comes, well, I think we can get this for you, and another agent said, we can get this for you. And it was much, in our wildest dreams, we didn't think we could get that much for the building. It was, getting on for 2.5 to 3 times what we paid for the building about 5 or 6 years earlier, and it was incredible. And so we put it on the market, and then an estate agent next door to the building, who wasn't even a commercial estate agent, found a buyer within days. And this is all a true, honestly, a true story. Not like selling a house, it takes months. He found a buyer within a couple of days. I've got a buyer for you. I said, great. And he didn't even have an agreement signed with us. We didn't even have an agreement. He knew the property was on the market with another agent. I've got a buyer for you. And, we agreed his fee verbally on a handshake. The buyer then said, I want to exchange on this property within a couple of days. And literally, I think it was on a Monday. He said, I want to exchange by Friday, but don't muck me around. Don't bring in another offer, a higher offer, otherwise we'll back out. And he said, I want to exchange within a few days. And he then sent his, and my solicitor said, we can't exchange in a few days. It's impossible. He said, it can't be done. And what happened, they then got their solicitor to go to our solicitor's office that Friday and do what's called an attended exchange, where you attend the solicitor's office and do the exchange. And the solicitor rang me up and said, Charles, they've turned up here mob-handed to exchange contract. I can't do this. But in the end, we had a chat with him, persuaded him. I think we offered him a bit more higher fee. And to cut a long story short, they exchanged that day. After about 3 or 4 days, they had exchanged. I think it was 3 days they exchanged contracts. They agreed a slightly longer completion, a 2-month completion. But it was all done and dusted within a few days. Unbelievable. So the reason I'm telling you this story is not to brag about it, but it's to tell you that sometimes the bigger deals are easier than the smaller deals, and they make you a lot more money. We made more money from that deal than all of the little flats and houses we've been buying. And that property now has got permission for 15 flats and 2 shops underneath. So they're going to make a lot of money out of it. They're actually going to demolish the building, which is a little bit sad, but that's one of those things. Time moves on. They're going to demolish it, extend it, go up, build 15 flats. They got the planning permissions a little short while ago, and have retail underneath. So it's mixed use property near a station. It's great. So the property will be used again. So I'm glad to see it will create housing. It will create a fund. They're not putting social housing in, but they're giving money over a levy to then build social housing somewhere else. So I think it's fantastic. So that's what I'm telling you, is that, like the Monopoly game, you can make more money from bigger deals. It sounds a bit obvious, but a lot of people are frightened to go into deals, and you do need a bit of knowledge. So this seminar this afternoon at 4 p.m. will give you some of that knowledge. There's going to be an expert called Mark Eaton talking about commercial conversions. You've got Neville Wright, who turned 37 pence into 100 million. And you've got Kevin McDonnell, someone I've worked in. I'm in a mastermind group with him, actually. And he's a very smart guy who just went from nothing, living in a bedsit, to then controlling the property that had the bedsit, to then buying more and controlling more and more properties. And he's basically done a lot of his deals with no money down. Even where he lives, Even his residential he bought with no money down, and did creative things. So he's a very, very smart guy. He's gone from sort of being broke and in debt to a multimillionaire within a very short space of time. So there's 3 speakers on this afternoon, 4 p.m. I'm not putting on this seminar. I'm telling you about it because I think I want to give my audience and my Money Tips community a chance to learn things for free while we're in lockdown. Take advantage of things, learn things, and get some free training instead of watching TV this afternoon. Tune in at 4 p.m. I'll put the link up in a second, and learn how to make £100 million in property. Learn how to do commercial conversions properly, professionally, and build your power team so that you're not doing it on your own. And learn how to raise money from the market, using investor money, not your own money. Gary said, "Is anyone allowed to hear this webinar?" Of course. I'm going to put it up there. I'm going to send you the link right now, Gary, and it'll be on this page in a few seconds. And if not, I'll send you the link personally because it's free training. And yeah, go for it. And you don't have to use your own money for these things. The bigger the deal, the more money will be there available to you. When you're trying to raise £5,000 or £10,000, people are not interested. But if you've said, I've got this office or a pub that's closed down, I want to convert it into 10 flats, the money will be there. Believe me, there's lots I can find the money for that sort of thing for you. If you find the right deals, the money is there. And in fact, if you go up to multi-billion pound deals, there's even more money there. But let's stick to small offices, pubs, places that are not being used at the moment or will not be used in the future, because I think a lot more people will be working from home. We had Theo Patihis the other day on Question Time. The guy from Dragon's Den said that the coronavirus had leapfrogged the use of technology by 5 years. It had fast forwarded it by 5 years, and we're now in this sort of Zoom economy almost. And he said he will not be using so much office space. He will not be employing people to work in offices as he has before, because people can get more quality of life working from home. It's cheaper to have them working from home, and sometimes it's even more efficient to work from home. With the systems now they have in place, they don't need these huge offices, these huge glass buildings. So I think that a lot of these offices will be turned into different kinds of use. It could be serviced accommodation. It could be hotels for the tourist industry. It could be mixed use. It can also be flats, small apartments, and shops and all sorts of things, retail, you name it. There's going to be lots of changes. Now, Mary Cullen says, what's been holding me back on bigger properties is financing it all. Exactly, I agree. But when we had this commercial, the finance was there. The bank came in, they came to us, they sat down, they wanted to do the deal. They have targets to lend money. They wanted to lend big. They didn't, and they were getting more interest. They were getting bigger fees. They were all over us to lend the money, believe it or not. Whereas sometimes you want a silly little mortgage and the lender says, oh no, we can't do that, as they're doing at the moment. But for the deals that make money, there's not only banks though, there's joint ventures, there's crowdfunding. These crowdfunding deals come on the market in the morning, they're sold, they're fully funded within half an hour. These things are happening all the time. I've got people that have got money to invest, they want to invest in deals, but they're not going to invest in a little buy-to-let flat for a couple of $100,000. They're just not interested in that level of investment. They're interested in bigger returns, they're interested in conversions, commercials, and it sounds complicated, but it's not. I think that the webinar today will give you some clues on how to get into this. Now, they're putting on a free webinar. They will try and sell you their courses or their mastermind. That's fair enough. You don't have to buy anything. You can get a lot of information from this free. So do have a look at it. I'll put the link up in just a second as soon as I finish this. So thanks for listening. Have a great Sunday. Do look at that webinar. I think it'll be really interesting. It will open your mind to new possibilities that you didn't know were there. All around us, there are opportunities, and you don't see them until you've got that knowledge and education. From going on these mastermind and these courses, I realised that just behind my property there were garages there that could be converted. A lot of them are dilapidated, they're too small for cars, so we're working on that now. We're working on some garage conversions to put a couple of houses there. which actually solves the problem of people dumping stuff there. There are fly tippers going on there. And so we're getting together with all the people who own the garages from the houses, because they're garages behind the houses rather than attached to them. And that's what we are going to do. We're going to convert those garages into a house that will clear the whole area up. And don't forget today, we've heard about this scandal, a little bit of scandal with Robert Jenrick, right? The minister that's supposed to have given the nod to a £100 million development of luxury places in London. And he's under a bit of fire. He might even lose his job because people think that he's done favours for people. But it's interesting to know that the investor, the developer, Richard Desmond, who's a billionaire, is still pushing London property, isn't he? He's still investing in London luxury properties, despite all of this doom and gloom that's going around and the fact that we could be entering into a long recession. He's still putting his money where his mouth is in London property, which is very interesting. So there are opportunities all around. I think, unfortunately, we're going to see some businesses fail in this, but as one business fails, another one starts up. As one closes down, another one comes in. And there are opportunities out there to do something with the property stock all over the country, not just in London, but everywhere. So let's just see what we can do. I'm going to be there at 4 o'clock. Hope you'll be joining me. I'm not running it. These experts are running it. So I'll be there at 4 o'clock. So I hope to see you there. Thanks for listening. Have a great Sunday. Thanks for tuning in, Mary, Gary, and all the other people who've joined in. Thanks very much. And I'll put the link up right now. Thank you.